So for this week's module project, it's a little bit similar to the market area analysis project in that you're kind of doing the same type of thinking. So we talked about agglomeration. We talked about Weber's least cost theory a little bit, right, during a lecture this week. So what I'm looking for you to do in this project is apply that theory and what it would look like, right, if you really had to decide where to place an industry, okay? Before we move into that, I want you to make sure that you look at the resources available to you, right? We did have the lecture, but you also, there's a clip there, relatively short clip talking about Weber's least cost theory and what it is if you need a refresher. And there's also a reading there. It's an actively learned reading, but it's not for points. It's for reference. Okay, and it's a really good source, by the way. So what am I having you do? Well, we know that Weber's least cost theory is very similar to the von Thunen idea or the Walter Christoller's idea of really trying to maximize profit, right, based on location. But Weber is looking at the secondary sector, right? He's looking at industry, manufacturing, production of a thing, right? So we're looking at this. So we're talking about location of the processing center or the factory, right, in relationship to the source material, the inputs, and then the market where it's actually going to be sold, right? So just like von Thunen, Weber is transfixed on transportation costs. So he's looking at weight and distance, and he's looking at different types of products. And he's realizing that some products weigh more or bulkier after they're processed, and others are bulk reducing after they're processed. So based on that idea, you're going to have bulk reducing industries closer to your inputs, where there's, whatever this is, goes to a processing center, and now it's this big, and therefore it's going to cost less to transport. That's the idea. Whereas you do have industries where you start with this, it goes to a processing center, and then what's sold to market is this big, or how many weighs this much, right? And that, therefore, you're trying to mitigate that and reduce the number of miles that you're carrying it at that weight. Okay, that's what this is showing right here, the moving of the processing center to the optimal location. Okay, and again, these are showing weight gaining or bulk gaining or bulk reducing. So again, this is just a quick review or a lecture. All right, so now you're going to apply these ideas. Click it. So you're given some data, right? I wouldn't get super caught up into the data because again, I'm not looking for an exact location, and don't get crazy with that either. I'm looking for a general understanding. You're showing me you understand where you would place an industry based on whether it's bulk gaining or decreasing, right? Reducing, right? So we're looking first at Thirsty Town. So we're looking at where you'd place a brewery, right? First of all, is a brewery or a canning or syrup or any kind of bottling, right? Could be lotion. I don't know. Is it going to be bulk reducing or increasing? That's the big question. So based on that question, you can kind of figure out where you want it to be placed, closer to market or closer to the inputs, right? Now, we also do need to take into consideration transport costs in different modes, whether it's road, or rail, right? And which one's cheaper or longer distances. Just disclaimer, rail is cheaper longer distances, just to let you know. But road is cheaper for shorter distances. And then we have down there, it doesn't actually say what kind of town it is, but let's say it's Steel. Okay, Steel, if you don't know, is mined, it's in a bunch of rock. You have to get rid of the other rock to get the steel for the iron ore. Then can be processed into steel. So bulk gaining, bulk reducing, and then really the idea is you're connecting it to his theory. All right. If you have questions, feel free to email me. But yeah, it's taking you through this logical process of if-then statements, right? If it weighs more afterward, then it should be located where. All right. Again, don't get crazy with the data. Fake headbutt. Y'all have a great day.